Fun. I love you too.
Right now, American farmers are harvesting a nightmare. Fields full of crops and not a single buyer in sight. Silos are bursting at the seams, dairy shipments are rotting on docks, and China just walked away.
Let me back this up. Okay, first, before I begin, let me give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakadash. Okay, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect of the children of Israel, people of Negro, Latino, Native American, and Seminole Indian descent. Okay, Israelite foreigners as well, who are scattered through the curses around the four corners of the earth and live amongst the heathen nations, but are Israelites through their father's side. Again, peace and shalom. All right, reading this 2 Thessalonians 2, and I'm starting at 8 here. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. And this is actually the whole nation, all right? The whole nation of these damn Edomites, all right? Who we also point out that the self-proclaimed white man, okay? So verse 10, and with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they shall believe a lie. All right, and you know that they don't believe that America is going to be destroyed in the manner that we say it's going to be destroyed, by gradual destruction, by the decaying of this nation, the morals, and the lack of jobs, and all these things, and the devaluing of the dollar, you know, and its currency, and so on, super hyperinflation. You know, and again, they think in their minds that these things, these woes that are coming unto Babylon, America, are what's the word, transitional, that they use, that they coming and they're going to go as it used to be. You know, the place go, like, for example, like a roller coaster ride, up and down, up and down. So in their minds, we're on a downstroke, but in their minds, they think eventually it's going to be an uptrend, you know, where this place is it. And I always mention now how it's a medical term, circling the drain, you know, the acronym CTD, you know, circling the drain. You know, this place is up out of there. His jugular veins been cut, and they're using this devil to do exactly that. Come in and pretty much manage its downfall, you know, at the same time deceiving the people, because they don't want a major uprising. They want to, they want to delay it as long as possible, as far as the people is concerned. You know, as far as the people are concerned, as far as you know, uprising and going after those that are in charge. You know, as far as the government is. You know, and the scriptures uses the word sedition. So again, they want to delay that as long as possible, as much as they can, you know, but in the meantime, they're going to continue deceiving the people. And let me do that. Let me, just out of curiosity here, hoping they don't crash. I'm coming back to this video. This video is fire, man. And it's straight up putting an eye on this place's downfall, because this is it. This is it. You know, best get used to it, best accept it, you know, but then again, you know, unfortunately, the 2/3 lot is to continue on being a friend to this world, and at the same time being an enemy toward one another. You know, ain't that kind of funny? They're friends of the world, love the world, but hate each other, man. Wow. So the scripture here, I want to get this. I think it's 2 and 10. Come on. I'll get to the video. Give me a second here. I mean, you want to talk about being pessimistic. Oh, man. Day by day, these people's hope is deteriorating away, literally. And the worst is yet to come. Come on, where's she at? I hit the wrong one, slock it. Oh, verse 11. I don't know why it was in 10. Delusion, strong delusion, a lie. It's just simply a lie. You know, a wandering, a straying about, one led astray from the right way, roams hither and thither, mental strain, error, wrong opinion relative to morals or religion, error which shows itself in action, a wrong mode of acting, error that which leads to error, deceit, and fraud. And that's part of that lie that they're receiving from their from their slave master, you know, from their god Esau, you know, their lover. You know, these people got a strong case of capture bonding, man, you know, which is another way of saying Stockholm syndrome. So they're pretty much leaning on Egypt for help, you know, and that lean going to turn eventually to a cry to Egypt, you know, and that's where all this is headed. It's headed literally to these people going, you know, especially 2/3, they're going to literally cry to Egypt for help, man, where all this is headed. So let's do that. Let's head straight back to the video here. And it's a pretty lengthy video, and I might pause to come back to the precepts here, the scriptures here, you know.
Corn, agricultural product coming into America, and our farmers are going to have a field day right now. Have a lot of fun. I love you too.
Right now, American farmers are harvesting a nightmare.
You know damn well the farmers, you know, they're pretty much shutting down. You know, you see how they're, you know, believing a lie. The farm, you know, it speaks for themselves. They're speaking for themselves. Not out of the mouth of this lying devil, but listen to the farmers themselves, man. And there's many videos. There's many videos to choose from.
Fields full of crops and not a single buyer in sight. Silos are bursting at the seams, dairy shipments are rotting on docks, and China just walked away. In just 6 weeks, U.S. farm exports to China plummeted 28%. For sorghum growers, it's even worse, a 94.4% free fall. That's not a dip, that's collapse. And while Washington stays silent, farmers are facing an impossible choice. Harvest at a loss, or watch everything they've built turn to dust. This isn't just a bad season, it's the unraveling of an entire industry, and it's happening in real time.
The unraveling of the complete system. And at the point we're at now, it's going to take, you know, it's not an overnight thing that can just return things back to normal. The point we're at now, we're like months. You know, if they were to reverse course, it's months, man, to get back to order. You know, well, you know, a month at least, because it takes a little bit over 2 weeks for those cargo ships, you know, to go from point A to point B. And then they have to be unloaded on the trucks to go to their destination. So this thing is each day that passes, that recovery time increases more and more. You know, it's so saying that to get back to normal, it's going to take longer and longer and longer. You know, and even if they do come to a deal, the will of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is to destroy this place, man. And the scriptures again mentions a great famine, to the point that to the point that where cannibalism is going to become a major reality, and just as common as it is that these 2/3 is going to continue to go at each other's throats, just as sure as this nigger woman is going to continue on her destructive path and her destructive manner and in her destructive ways. Hey, that's just as much as how common it's going to become. Cannibalism, it's on its way, cannibalism. I mean, it's in the scriptures, whether you want to believe it or not, it's in the scriptures. And there ain't a damn thing you can do because you don't believe, these prophecies. Your belief is not going to be, it's not going to make these scriptures of none effect. And that's an actual scripture, that give reference to that.
Collapse was swift, brutal, and impossible to ignore. In just 6 weeks, U.S. farm exports to China plummeted by 28%, a number that doesn't just sting, but signals a full-blown crisis. The worst hit? Sorghum, once a booming trade, now lying in ruins. Shipments crashed from 1.44 million metric tons in early 2023 to a pitiful 78,000 tons this year. A 94.4% free fall, according to U.S. The reason? China's retaliatory tariffs, now exceeding 125%, have made American grain not just uncompetitive, but commercially irrelevant in its biggest market.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pause this for a second. Okay. It says this here. I just had it. Give me a second here. I just lost it. Romans 3:3. Okay. It says, "For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? The Most High forbid. Yea, let the Most High be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged." Okay? Okay, and let me do this here. Let me do this here. Because all this is headed somewhere. This gradual decline. Okay, let me see if I can find it here. Okay, there's one in Deuteronomy, but I'm not sure if I got a precept written down for it. I know there's one in Jeremiah. I'm sure there's one in Isaiah as well. But let me do this, because I know just something as far as. Because there's an actual example where in the scriptures, 2 women came to an agreement to eat their sons. And out of that itself, there was conflict arose. And that's the spirit, man, like where these people are going to be in a point where they're going to be doing all types of ungodly, I'm stressing the word ungodly, things to live. And not sticking to being blameless and being having faith and trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, looking out for them. So these people are going to lose, which have no faith in the first place. They're going to again resort to all types of wicked means to live, man. And then again, with the two women, they ate the one son, but the other one didn't. You know, when it came to them cooking and eating the other one's son, they, you know, she was like, no, you know. But again, it's in the scriptures. You know, they ate one of their sons. Cannibalism. Okay, and thou shalt eat the fruit, and thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and thy daughters, which the Lord thy power hath given thee, in the siege and in the straitness, wherewith thy enemies shall distress thee. And hold on, let me find that. Let me see if I can find that. Give me a second here. Cannibalism. This is your reward for not, you know, hearkening to the voice of the Lord. Meaning, you know, meaning his men that he's risen up to warn you. Okay, let me pause this for a second. Okay, here we go. And let's get straight to it. 2 Kings 6:27. And he said, if the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor, or out of the winepress? And the king said unto her, what aileth thee? And she answered, this woman said unto me, give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, give thy son, that we may eat him. And she hath hid her son. So, they just real. I just wanted to get there real quick to show you that, hey, these 2/3, man, are again going to resort to some major desperate measures, man, and it's going to be some jaw-dropping experiences seeing what they're going to do, man. But they're going to, Yahweh Shai is going to judge them, a lot of them on the spot, So let's do this. Get back to the video here. And this is all headed to these empty storehouses, where, imagine that the time's coming where these shelves are going to become empty and empty. But, and don't be surprised if Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai cause something to happen to make, these people are, they're quick to run to the grocery stores and buy up all the toilet paper. And it's only, what are they going to do? Eat the toilet paper and buy whatever, buy anything and everything to stockpile, So he can cause something major to happen to have these people go and bum rush these stores, man. And it's only going to take a day or two for those, for these grocery stores to end up completely empty, Come on.
But sorghum is just the beginning. At the Port of Oakland, the heart of America's refrigerated farm exports, almond and dairy shipments dropped by 40%. Trucks sit idle, containers stack up with nowhere to go, and the hardest truth, buyers aren't coming back. China has already moved on, locking in long-term deals with Brazil and Argentina, deals that took years to build and won't be undone overnight. The damage isn't limited to one.
Took years to build. It took years to build. And these are billion-dollar deals. Billion-dollar deals, man. So imagine the impact. So I always say that these things that are happening, especially this right here, this video is for an example. This is having a domino effect. Or they always, what's another term they use other than a domino effect? But a domino effect. Once that one domino hits, and all the ones that are in the way, it's just going to all follow suit. So it's going to affect the jobs, the trucking industry. And as the scripture says, Ecclesiastes 12, the grinding shall cease. And I think that's Isaiah, the 16th chapter or the 19th chapter, where There, it says there will be no work for Egypt. This place is shutting down, man. It's shutting down. And it's all being orchestrated, purposely. It's just this devil's only doing what he wants, he's only doing what he wants, and he owns this place. It's his corporation. And all this devil's doing is just shutting this corporation down. And these people crying about what's that McGregor dude? He's the president, the CEO of our country, our choice. Rome. That's Rome, man. That's incorrect. Again, that's that part of that delusion these people are buying into. It's not your country. You don't have no control and no stake, no ownership of this corporation. None. It's owned by the international bankers. So they're shutting this shit down. They're shutting this toilet down, man. So again, the truckers can't deliver the goods to the local carryouts, the local stores, grocery stores, and whatever. Then that's going to result in the stores shutting down eventually, But hopefully something to happen to make it all this speed up to the point where suddenly, like the scripture says, suddenly, that's that second Ezra. I just had that scripture up. Second Ezra 6:22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Okay? Suddenly. They don't see this happening. They think, again, through diplomatic means, there's going to be they're going to come to an agreement. Their logic is they have to come to an agreement. They're not going to just let us starve. They have to come to an agreement. They have, in order for the country to become great again. Trump is playing chess and Chinese is playing checkers. These people are stupid, man. In the meantime, these stupid ass niggas, these 2/3 niggas is still partying, still at war with each other, still being wicked as all hell, still worshiping and serving other idols, false gods. Man, oh man, oh man. So eventually, regardless of what happens politically, the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua is to destroy this place. And he's destroying it.
Exporters in Washington are laying off a quarter of their workforce because orders vanished overnight. One supplier described it bluntly: one day the contracts were there, the next, silence. The same story echoes.
There are towns, man. There are small towns in rural America, villages and so on, that these places shut down. If these people aren't making no money, man, there's going to be no, their local economy is going to totally collapse and crash. Just imagine it. And with all that, crime is going to multiply. Crime is going to increase. The use of alcohol, the use of drugs, all this is going to increase, man. Can you imagine a bunch of dope heads out there looking to get any type of drug they can possibly get, and alcoholics and so on. And then with the state of desperation setting in, just imagine the level of crime, man. And you talking about the word desperation. There's a lot of people going to die because of their ignorant desperations. Been in that ignorant state of mind, that being desperate. You should have. You should have been getting your spirit right before all these things came to pass. That you would have learned to lean on faith and to learn patience and how to endure. And just imagine what the men of the elect are going through. So Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to have mercy on his elect men and his elect women. But all the rest, man, that continue to feed their flesh You know, continue to feed, to chase after their lust. Oh my goodness. He got a reward for you.
Across industries, soybean futures dropped 14% in early 2025 as China's imports from Brazil surged 25%. This isn't a temporary slump, it's a permanent rewrite of global trade. Washington's response? Symbolic, not structural. Promises of farmer relief sound hollow when the real problem, market access, is ignored. The White House insists the trade war will bring leverage, but the numbers scream otherwise. Before the tariffs, China bought over 90% of U.S. sorghum exports. Now, that pipeline is severed, and no bailout can stitch it back together. The question isn't just what's lost, it's what's next. With every canceled shipment, every abandoned cargo ship, the U.S. loses more ground. Brazil didn't replace American soybeans in a day. It took years of subsidies, port upgrades, and strategic deals. Now, those deals are sealed. And if Washington thinks tariffs can be flipped like a light switch, they're ignoring the cold, hard math. Farmers can't survive on patriotism alone. The crisis at America's farms is now rippling out.
And that's what's fueling this madness, is that illusion of that drug of patriotism, man. That's a fool's drug. You know, these people are that word patriots. These patriots, man, that's like a crack cocaine, man, to these people. You know, and they have faith in these deceivers, man, these devils. You know, and again, that word delusion. You know, they're still believing that delusion, man. They're under that spell of patriotism.
Hitting the ports that serve as the lifeblood of agricultural trade.
The patriotism, that Egypt. What does scripture say? Egypt shall be your shame. Let me grab that. All of them. Not just these stupid ass Jakes, man. All these Babylonians. Come on. We've been telling you. Yahweh Shem Yahushua has been warning you fools, man. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame. Let me hit that. I'm going to come back. I like the 61 as well. Isaiah 30:1, woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not with my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. What's going on here? What's going on? You know, what's going on? You think those politicians really give a damn, you know, about you starving, about your storehouses becoming empty? When those politicians, man, those rich politicians, they got homes overseas. You know, they got some of them may have a place in they may have a bunker somewhere, you know, on some island or some foreign lands, or, you know, and most of them, all of them are going to die anyway, you know. They probably got, you know, hidden bunkers here, you know, as the scripture says, they're going to go into their space stations, their whatever they got built out in those out in the oceans, their ocean cities and underground cities, man. These devils plan on escaping while you sit here and suffer, you know. And that's for your own, that's your own damn fault to trust in these lying devils, where they've been showing that they're against this nation, and this ain't something that just happened the last 20, 30 years. This happened long before then. You can think back to when they took the dollar off from being backed by gold and silver, you know, mainly gold though. You can go back to the late 60s, early 70s, or starting with your boy Kennedy. You know, reason why they put a hole in his head. You know, these politicians and you know, and their masters, whoever they answer, they never have no good intentions toward this place, man. You know, never had good intentions toward this place. Well, good.
The Port of Oakland, the nation's top gateway for refrigerated farm exports, is buckling under the weight of China's retaliatory tariffs. Cargo volumes have plummeted, and the slowdown isn't just about idle ships. It's about livelihoods vanishing overnight. Dock workers, truckers, and warehouse staff are feeling the sting as exports dry up. The port's unique 50/50 balance between imports and exports makes it especially vulnerable, and with China accounting for 29% of its total trade, the damage is spreading fast. Containers that should be packed with almonds, dairy, and beef are sitting empty. Contracts are being canceled mid-transit, leaving exporters scrambling to reroute shipments if they can. One hay supplier in Washington laid off 25% of its workforce in just 2 weeks after orders collapsed. Another exporter watched helplessly as 6,400 metric tons of wood pulp sat frozen in warehouse limbo, racking up demurrage fees while waiting for new buyers. A shipment of 9.
And a lot of these places are shutting down completely instead of just, you know, like what they're showing here. A lot of examples where a lot of these large manufacturers are cutting percentages like 40, 50, 60%. There are those that are shutting completely down. But before I continue on with this, what's at the 4-minute, 26-second mark? I got to try and remember that. It just popped in my head because, you know, the question arises a lot that I've heard where, how is America Egypt? How is America Egypt? And what I have here, let me see if I can find it. I had it somewhere. This dollar here. There it is. Okay. The pyramid there, that's a sign. You know. And these devils, they worship ancient gods. Many of the ancient false gods, false idols. And let me do this here. Hold on. Give me a second here. I want to come back to no, that's not it. Come back to this here.
Go on.
Okay, so let me hit this up here. Just a couple of examples. Okay, let's hit images. Here it is. Perfect example there. Where'd that come from? Where's this origin from? This obelisk here. What they call it, the Washington Monument. Washington, D.C. All right. And that's just a small example, you know. Isaiah 30. And why we use these precepts to describe Babylon, America. So again, as the scripture says, that's not even the one I wanted, but that's a beautiful scripture there. Come on. It just vanished. woke up. About to go to work. Okay. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Shame and confusion. These people are going to be overwhelmed with it both. Shame and confusion. You know? Shame and confusion. Disgrace, reproach, shame, confusion, dishonor, insult, ignominy, and reproach. Hell with Babylon. Hell with this place, man. So what is this? Isaiah 61:7? For your shame ye shall have double, and for your confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. This is talking about Israelites, though. Exaltation of the afflicted. Okay. And strangers shall stand and feed your flock, and your sons and your aliens shall be plowmen in your winepress, but ye shall be named the priest of the Lord. Men shall call you the ministers of our power. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, for this is coming in the kingdom, and in their glory shall ye boast yourselves. Okay. Okay, so let me get back to the video here.
Racking up demurrage fees while waiting for new buyer. A shipment of 0 metric tons already at sea.
I have many videos on this. This one right here, not this one here.
I guess it's starting, y'all.
That's going over the empty stores. But there's one specifically that's going on. The farmers are complaining, crying. This one here with this Edomite here, they let me go. He lost his job. This one right here, video right here, looks like he looks Ishmael, like an Ishmaelite, but with the 20 minutes, 36-second video here, he's a trucker, and he's telling you how things is gradually getting worse and worse. How his shipments and delivery trucks and his weight is the weight is getting less and less and less, and he finds himself sitting around waiting to ship more cargo, but he's finding himself just sitting in his truck waiting for nothing. You know. So let me get back to this here. Shit is going down. It's going down. Come on. I don't know.
Go on agriculture.
So let me fast forward back to my spot.
Prices, shipping at a loss is the only option until it isn't. The problem isn't just lost sales, it's the unraveling of an entire supply chain built over decades. Since the latest round of tariffs hit, 68 scheduled sailings have been canceled, a phenomenon known as blank sailings in the industry. Each canceled voyage means more than just a missed delivery. It means trucks without loads, cranes without work, and workers without paychecks. Port executives warn that the slowdown isn't just a temporary hiccup, it's a structural shift. We can't absorb these costs forever, one exporter said. At some point, the shipments just stop. The pain isn't limited to Oakland. Across the country, agricultural exporters are facing the same nightmare. Rising fees, vanishing demand, and no clear path forward. The U.S. government's new port fees, $1.5 million per Chinese vessel, were supposed to pressure Beijing, but they're backfiring. While bulk agricultural shipments were exempt, containerized goods like beef, poultry, and dairy weren't so lucky. These high-value exports make up 55% of U.S. farm export earnings, and now they're being squeezed even harder. The ripple effect is undeniable. When a single hay supplier lays off workers, it doesn't just hurt those employees. It hurts the trucking companies that hauled their product, the equipment dealers who sold them machinery, and the small towns that depended on those paychecks. The longer this drags on, the more permanent the damage becomes. Ports can't pivot overnight. Buyers won't wait forever, and with every week that passes, the U.S. loses more of its foothold in global agriculture. The question isn't whether the trade war is hurting farmers, it's how much of the industry will be left when it's over. The checks are coming, just like they did last time. The White House has floated another round of farm bailouts, a band-aid solution for a crisis that needs surgery. But across the heartland, farmers aren't celebrating. They've seen this playbook before. Bailouts might keep the lights on for another season, but they don't reopen closed markets, rebuild shattered contracts, or undo the trust lost with buyers overseas. In Iowa, corn farmers are planting fields knowing they'll lose money. In Kentucky, some are debating whether to harvest at all.
Let me get the scripture here. Oh, man, this is beautiful. Let me get 15. Like 2 is 15 is 56. Like as thou hast done unto my chosen, said the Lord, even so shall the Most High do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy cities shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. It's beautiful, man. You got to love it. This is this horror going out. This is this horror going out.
This isn't farming for profit anymore. It's true.
This is this horror going out. You know? This is what we've been praying for. And he's hearing our cries.
The government's response? More cash injections, more short-term fixes. But what farmers are begging for isn't money, it's markets. Without buyers, without trade routes, without stable demand, even the biggest bailout is just delaying the inevitable. The frustration has reached a breaking point. Major farm groups, from the National Farmers Union to the American Soybean Association, are doing something.
Bad video. There's more. It's 14 minutes, 4 seconds long. Watch it on your own. I didn't want to make this too long. I want to get another precept here, and then I'll close. Because again, this video goes on and on with nothing but proof that this place is done. You know, it just still amazes me that people really think that this place is in a good position. It's in a good state, and that's just show you how big and how powerful the horror was, man. That you know, it's a mighty power, man. You know, where a lot of them don't feel the pinch yet. You know, a lot of them haven't really been affected yet, but that their day's coming real soon. You know, those that are driving around in their F-150s that, you know, and that's mainly rural America, because mainly these Edomites most of them live in the rural parts of Babylon, you know, hiding off in their land that that was handed down from their parents and their grandparents and so on, you know, that was handed to them by the government through what they call that what was it called, the Land Grab Act, where they gave millions of acres of land away to these Edomites, and even so-called, you know, Israelites received land, but these Edomites killed them off and took the land. Man, this is a wicked ass place, man. You know, but again, so eventually, those who it really hasn't affected yet, who's, you know, I see these Edomites riding around their F-150s pulling trailers with landscaping equipment with skags, 2 or 3 skags on them, you know, with their business still flourishing with contracts with they got through a lot of these in the bigger cities through these apartment complexes, through through the rich Edomite suburbs, because Esau don't really do yard work. They hire someone to do it for them, and that's just an example how, you know, these people are still, they're still functioning, they're still going on, but eventually it's going to hit them. It's coming. It's coming. Like the scripture says, the grinding shall cease. The grinding shall cease. So the horror is so great, man. It's just it just takes time for it to, for it to affect the whole of the country. It's just taking a little bit of time, but it's coming. It's coming. So let me get the scripture real quick. It was in 2nd Ezra 16. I think it was 18. I gotta hear it and get out of here. Okay, 2nd Ezra 16:18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars. The beginning is using the word the beginnings, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine, and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all of these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, as we're witnessing. People are waxing worse and worse, man. What was the scripture? Love of many shall wax cold. That was at Matthew 24. The love of many shall wax cold. These people are just getting worse and worse and worse. While the elect are continuing to pray and turn from our unrighteousness to righteousness. So I'm gonna close here. So till next time, Lord willing, shalom.